Well, hello, fellow entrepreneurs. Mark Little here, Diversified Funding Services. Grab you a cup of coffee when you got time. Sit back, let me take you on a journey. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Let's talk about you. How did you wind up where you're at? How did I wind up where I'm at? Diversified Funding Services. Let me give you a quick overview, a quick peek into the inception of it all. It obviously starts with my dad. My dad opened Little's Gulf Service in his probably mid to late 30s. I'm a little bitty kid, just old enough to understand. Uh, I remember Dad, he said something that changed my life. If I can make it for another man, I can make it for myself. That he did. Fast forward, now Dad's 94. I'm 60. Man, life sneaks up on us, doesn't it? I'm sharing all this to say this. Diversified Funding Services is here to serve. This company and our offerings is not for everybody, but here's who it is for. It's for those business owners that are good at doing what they do. You're good at your service. You're good at the product that you deliver. But there may be some things that are lacking. And it's the basic fundamentals that factoring has taught me. When I started Diversified Funding Services back in 1998, and I was realizing it was one of the oldest forms of commercial finance. And a lot of people do not understand the essence of factoring. And what factoring really is, of course, is the process of seeing accounts receivable as an asset, that piece of paper, doing your best to learn how to underwrite it and free up that capital that's imprisoned in those receivables so that business owner can use their capital, their money, to fuel their growth. When those are not managed properly, those receivables, companies get into a very difficult spot, and you actually can drown on your own growth because of the lack of that cash flow. But when I started Diversified Funding Services, I entered the space as a factoring broker. That, of course, is someone that's going out there and trying to find those businesses that needs working capital, and maybe they're going to the bank and the bank was not able to provide that financing for whatever reasons. Example, maybe you need to be in business 2 years, tax returns, personal credit, all those things. Factoring didn't care about all that. What we cared about is who's paying that invoice. That was the main focus. So we could help startups. So anyway, I think the interesting thing about looking back at being 60 years old and looking back over the 25 plus years of being in this business is it's been a little bit of baffling to me to see how many businesses do not have the fundamentals in place that they need. There's a lot of sophisticated companies out there. There's a lot of people that are far smarter than I am. Uh, but we forget that we know what we know, right? So sitting there and watching over the years the power behind accounts receivable financing and the thing that has been um, kept under the wraps, as the saying goes, is it's not just about the cost of funds. It's what you get. It's the back office support, because obviously as a factoring company, you're specializing in receivables. You have to verify those receivables. You have to monitor those receivables. You have to follow up on those receivables to make sure they're turning and paying in a timely manner. So anybody that's factoring, they're getting this back office suite of customer service. It's no different than you hiring an accounts receivable manager to work for your company. But you're getting that with factoring. So fast forward, my brokering business went exceptionally well. I ended up moving away from developing relationships with community bankers because the internet was becoming a thing. So I took it online. It was a new thing called pay-per-click. Everybody's familiar with that now, but back in the day, I was at the beginning of the birth of that. It ended up being a transformational decision. Once I got established, I found myself having clients all over the U.S., had some very solid relationships with a lot of very good factoring companies, and understanding the different appetites and capabilities of the different factoring companies. And so life was good. I was semi-retired at one point, and my company had a benevolent ministry side to it. I had 5 ministries I was supporting, and I thought I had found my place in life. This is where God wants me, and I'm here forever, right? Well, as entrepreneurs, we all know that there's ups and downs, and there's things that happen out of our control. And 2008 was out of our control. Some of you may have cringed when I said 2008 because you may have been affected by it as well. But regardless of it, it changed my business. It changed the foundation of it, and it shuffled the deck. And a lot of businesses that I had went out of business. I had to decide what to do to redevelop my business development strategy because the online model was affected. As it recovered, so much money came to the space that it became a very difficult space to compete in because so much big money came to it, and I just could not compete with the cost per click at that time. So that began the journey, the process of years of trying to retool, rebrand, and so decided to take the whirl and become a direct lender. And me and my partner uh, took that leap of faith. I used to say, "Hey, we can do this. Let's jump off this cliff, and we'll find the parachute on the way down." That's what a lot of times you have to do as an entrepreneur. You just have to believe in yourself. That we did, and we accomplished it. The relationship that we had put together as a direct lender ran its course, and then I sold out right before COVID hit, and kind of just paused and tried to decide what to do next because the exit was not as lucrative as was hoping for. Again, things that are out of our control. uh, anyway, fast forward, me and my friend always stay in touch and talk. And I think the thing that made us stand out internally at Diversified when we were a direct lender is the pride that we took in the back office management side of it. And that was the managing the receivables. And being in the business so long, a lot of factors never really talked about it. It was always the cost. Like, what's the cost? Don't want anybody contacting my customers, all these little hurdles that people had to try to overcome to understand factoring. Um, but we understood it. We got the importance of how you turn verification calls into customer service calls. That eliminated some issues with those receivables turning in a timely manner because you're eliminating any issues that would show up 30, 45 days later, just to give that vendor the reason to not pay that invoice at the time, put it to the bottom of the pile until that issue was remedied. Doing those follow-up, those customer service follow-up calls to make sure the invoice was going to be paid in the terms that it was all agreed to, whether that be 30, 45 days. But fast forward, here we are, and Diversified Funding Services is very proud to be coming to market with AR turn management. And when you know what you know, uh, it's undeniable. And the experiences that I've had over these 25, 27 years in this business is this is not going to be for everybody. But who this is for that entrepreneur that scraps it out, that has built their company, they're growing, and they are just struggling to keep things flowing. You could be doing 6 million, 8 million a year, and you just seems like you're always chasing your tail. And I think you have to ask yourself, where is it broken? I see far too many businesses and have seen way too many times that businesses take desperate financial products because it's quick. They need the money now, and they'll take out a type of finance product that's very quick. It remedies the situation at that moment, but then they're overextended, and then they may take out another quick fix. It becomes a vicious cycle. If that's ringing a bell, you know what I'm talking about. So I use things from a common sense perspective. And that's why I gave the example of the receivables management being like working out in a gym. The gym represents your business, and the diet and nutrition represents your receivables. So no matter how hard you're working out in the gym, if you're not eating properly to recover, to keep working out, you're heading into a very difficult situation. Same thing with receivables and business. Your business is growing, it's scaling, you're spitting those invoices out. And then when it's time to heal and recover and pay those bills, the nutrition is not there because you were not doing it right. It happens all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the nature of business. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. So I want you to follow along with me and understand that if you are always chasing your tail and you're looking at your aging report and it's not where it needs to be, and then you go, why is that? Are you making customer service calls on the front end to make sure your customers are happy with that product or service that's been delivered? Are you consistently staying in touch and finding out when the time to pay the invoice is due? You're calling to have just a friendly conversation of, hey, checking on payment status, monitoring your receivables, tracking them, knowing where they're at any given moment. How many are 10 days old, 20 days old, 30 days old? A lot of times it ends up happening to where you're getting backed into a corner and you're realizing that, man, I thought that check was in the mail. It's not here yet. What's going on? And then you find yourself just being slow paid. It's because the protocol, the fundamentals, a lot of times are not in place. A lot of times you don't need the working capital you think you need, because if you have a healthy AR system in place and they're turning in a timely manner, then your cash flow is stable. Then you can decide which financial product you need to take on moving forward. But far too often, like I said, those decisions are being made under stress and duress. And life's not very fun when you're under stress and duress, is it? So we would love the opportunity to serve your business. We love the opportunity to come in and allow you to outsource something that's broken and let us fix it, because we do know what we're doing in that space. Again, it's not for everybody. We're not looking for the big, massive companies. Obviously, we're looking for those that just need that stability. Too many companies are just throwing a little bit of funds at it. They hire somebody that doesn't specialize in it to take on a task or a job they're not, accustomed to doing, and it still stays broken. Um, but let us talk to you, and let's see if we can't put together a program to stabilize your AR, have a consistent cash flow turn, the quality of life from one entrepreneur to another. When you have those working capital issues subside, it makes a better quality of life. You don't have to stress out. Payroll's due Friday. What am I going to do? Vendor bills are due. Bills are due. Whatever's due, is you're just always chasing your tail. Doesn't have to be that way. I look back over my journey, my entrepreneurial experiences, and the highs and the lows, and I had those times of splurging and celebrating. Growing up in the automotive industry, of course, I was always a gearhead, that hot rodder, and got to enjoy the fruits of the labors and spend money unwisely on cars. But then you have those things that happen out of your control and doesn't go like you thought, and you don't maintain those toys, so to speak, and you realize that you got to, huddle back up pull it up by the bootstraps and go do it again. So I can relate. I understand what it's like to be self-employed. Pretty much my whole life I've been self-employed. And you understand what that's like. You understand what it's like to be curled up in a fetal position, stressed out, freaked out, trusting God, hoping it works out. It's not easy. It's not for everybody, right? Because if it was, everybody would do it. But man, is it rewarding. It's so rewarding to be able to march to the beat of your own drum, as the saying goes. So I want to encourage you, the business owner, that's not where you would like to be. You could be crushing it. Again, you could be doing millions of dollars a year in sales, but at the end of the day, you're stressed out. You need to make some decisions. You need to get your basic AR management in place. You need to hire those that know how to do it. And together and collectively, we can put together a program that is efficient and it's done properly. We're going to adapt to the type of customer service you need for your clients. So, anyway, just wanted to come on here and share a little bit of a story, reflect back of starting Diversified Funding Services. And that journey has been quite the experience. So here I am, 60 years old, talking to this camera, trying to appeal to my future clients and just hope that we can earn your business and get the opportunity to come together and talk and see if we can't provide a solution to make your business more successful and your quality of life can improve, and just put it in the hands of those that knows what they're doing, turning your AR. So I'm Mark Little. Until next time, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.